Alright, guys, FastLane has officially wrapped up and everything is pretty much in the record books. There was a lot of good spots in some of these matches, but I will tell you this, there were only 3 matches on this card that was worth watching. And just to be fair, since I'm reviewing this thing, I'll just go one by one in some of the matches and I'll actually highlight the ones I've liked the most. Now, the kickoff match was the U.S. title. It was the first championship match of the night, and it was Kalisto versus Alberto Del Rio. Now, I didn't really care much for this match because mostly you've seen the U.S. title change hands far too quickly, far back to back, pretty much. But I will say this, Kalisto and Alberto Del Rio, it made me happy to see a little bit more aggression in this match. We know that these guys are luchadors. We know that when it comes to Lucha Libre, we know Lucha Libre is very violent and very, very aggressive. They really weren't so aggressive as like Lucha Underground standards, but they really was like more of a PG-13 kind of aggression. Kinda. But I will say, it was a pretty good match to watch. And it was an okay Lucha style match to watch. It wasn't horrible to watch, but I was happy to see that Kalisto actually did keep the belt. Because number one, you want Kalisto to have pretty much a healthy title reign. And number two, you kind of sort of don't want the belt to change hands far too many times. You kind of do want to give a little bit of respect for that belt, especially for the person holding it. And Kalisto fought hard to get that belt. So I'm kind of happy that he actually has it. So I'm happy that he kept the title and Alberto Del Rio didn't. Maybe they're doing something for him at WrestleMania. I don't know. But moving on from there. The first match of the pay-per-view was the tag team match between Sasha Banks and the remnants of Team Bad. Tamina and Naomi. Now, before we got started with this, I'm going to say this. And this actually was exclusive on WWE's Facebook page. And I guess they're trying to get people to like them on Facebook. But why, oh why, has the WWE haven't taught these women to talk yet? Like, Naomi's been in the game for a while, so is Tamina, and they still stink at words. I don't understand. Like, they're great in the ring. They're great with being heels in the ring, especially getting people not to like them and actually having dialogue while they're fighting, which is cool. But when it comes to a script, they suck at it. So my thing is, why don't you come up with a new way of them to speak instead of them going by a script every single night? Why don't you have them have bullet points about the person that they're talking about and have them ad-lib throughout the entire night? It'll be natural. It might be easier for them. They won't sound like machines or look stupid. Why don't you do that? I mean, shoot, these are your investments. Don't you want to do something with your investments instead of them looking like idiots or clowns every night? Come on. I know that Naomi and Tamina can fight. It's a given. But they just can't talk to save their lives. They need to do something about that. ASAP. Especially if they're going to be on WrestleMania. Which I don't think they are. But honestly, if they want to put them up to WrestleMania status or actually make a new star, you need to teach them how to speak. Just saying. But anyway, I will say this. They have done well when it comes to that match. It shows that Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks, of course, don't get along. Because Sasha Banks has a huge ego. And Becky Lynch is the go-along girl. I hate to say that about her, but she pretty much is. They kind of made her the go-along girl. But they can still fight together really well. And we've seen matches on NXT. We've seen the legendary feud that they had on NXT. So we know these chicks can scrap. But the fact that they actually had clashing personalities but were able to come through in the end, I kind of like that. It fit their personality. They worked well in the ring. They had great chemistry. Sasha Banks was still Sasha Banks. Becky Lynch was still Becky Lynch. And they beat Team Bad. And I was cool with that. They squashed that so they could move on to WrestleMania. Because we all know it's going to probably be either a triple threat or a fatal 4-way for the Divas title. Seriously. But honestly, great match. Have no qualms there. And Sasha Banks, I really wish they would allow her to be her. Because I know she can be a lot more aggressive. As well as Becky Lynch. They can be a lot more aggressive. And I know they wanted to be. But they didn't. I felt like they were holding back a little bit. That's just me. Naomi was as aggressive as I've actually seen her be as a heel in a while. And I think she started to be comfortable in her heel role. Because I know before, I told Eva she didn't really like being a heel, but it seems like she's being comfortable being a heel by the day. Tamina was always a natural heel. That's a given. But other than that, the match was great. There was maybe a few spots here and there. But other than that, guys, it wasn't a bad match. It really wasn't at all. It was nice to see Sasha Banks come out. And it was nice to hear music and everything. But honestly, cool match. No problem there. But let's move on to the next match. Now, this is a match I really didn't care about because I've seen it multiple times. And I know that this guy can actually perform well. And I know that this other guy can perform well. And I'm talking about the IC title the IC title match between Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler. Now, we all know that Dolph Ziggler was not going to win. That's a given. We knew he wasn't going to win. It was never going to be his time. It may not ever be his time. Because it would make sense for them not to give him the belt. Because Kevin Owens is the hottest ticket out there. So allow Kevin Owens to get the belt off and give it to Dolph would not be smart. So I kind of knew that he was going to keep the belt. But they gave it their all. Seriously, they did. And I kind of did enjoy the match. Kinda. But it was so predictable that it being predictable kind of took me out of it. And knowing that they were going to have a good match, I really wasn't all that into it. But it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. But I want to move on to the match that I really think was pretty much the match of the night, in my opinion, because not only was the psychology amazing, it was also the fact that the commentary kind of joined in too. It was contagious, and I loved it. And I'm talking about the Divas match. The Divas match was probably one of the best matches I've ever seen Brie Bella be into. That, like, in a Divas title match. She brought her A game that night. And the way that they set the storyline up was great. The psychology in the ring was amazing. They were mocking each other all night. And the fact that Brie was mocking Charlotte back, doing the woo, and then doing the the Ric Flair moves, I loved it. And then, oh man, Byron Saxton. The things that come out of that man's mouth makes you wonder if he really thinks about it before he says it. He was saying, well, Brie Bella just wants to sit down and look at birds with Daniel Bryan or something. And man, JBL caught on and he just rolled that train in. Like, he just kept on mocking him all night. I enjoyed the crap out of that. And the one thing that also makes me happy about this is that there was zero interference from Ric Flair. I was happy to see that. Ric Flair was at the corner and everybody's like, well, he's a heel. He should be doing something. No. There's a point to where that you gotta back off a little bit, and this is his daughter. And I know that you're saying, like, as a heel, he did that with Becky, that he pretty much, was interfering and stuff like that. Ric Flair didn't really do much in this match, and I guess I don't know. I guess because of what he did with Becky, that's what probably, I wouldn't be surprised if someone behind the scenes was like, Flair, you gotta back off a little bit. The fact that he kissed Becky on the mouth, that's probably why they told him not to interfere at all. And I'm kind of happy that he didn't, because that was a very creepy moment. He can't do that with Brie, because Daniel Bryan will have his high. He will forget that he's retired. He will beat the crap out of him. Seriously. Or at least attempt to. Yeah, he would probably beat the crap out of him. But anyway, and I know this is coming from a Ric Flair mark. And I'm like, oh, but let's be honest. Yeah. A man who is enraged sometimes forgets, and Daniel Bryan will probably kick the crap out of him. But anyway, moving on from there. Brie, I have never been so proud of her in my life. The fact that she did 2 submission moves. She did her husband's yes lock, and then also rolled into, I think she transitioned into a modified crab she countered into a modified crab, I believe. She did so many submission holds that you don't see the mainstream chicks do. You don't see, like, the main roster girls, that you don't see them do these a lot. You don't see them do submission holds a lot. She did a lot of submission moves. They were really well done. I was very impressed with her. I really enjoyed seeing her perform. I enjoy seeing her new ring attire, because the flannel and the pants. I'm happy to see something different coming out of Brie. And Brie was like, she was hot stuff that night. You go, girl. But other than that, I was really impressed with her. That was a really great match to watch. Charlotte had the great psychology with Charlotte, great psychology with Brie. I enjoyed it. I really did it. Even though Brie did not win, she has mad respect for the WWE Universe, and I hope she gets her WrestleMania moment. I hope she does before she leaves. And I hope they make it a Fatal 4-Way, because she should get a match. She really should. I'm an advocate for Brie right now. I'm an advocate for Brie to get a fatal 4-way match. Seriously. If I could hashtag it, I would, but I can't think of one right now. And if you can, put it in the comments, because I want to make that trending, man. But anyway, moving on from there. The match after that. Well, yeah, let's go into the match between AJ Styles and Chris Jericho. Now, I knew these guys would be able to throw down. Their match on Raw was phenomenal. And in my opinion, that was a mistake. It was. And they said that they actually did perform 4 times. But 3 times. But in my opinion, they performed 4. Because you saw AJ Styles make his debut at the Royal Rumble this year. And then he performed on... Then he had a match with Jericho on Raw. Then he had a match with Jericho on SmackDown. And then they had another match at FastLane. So it's kind of 4 times if you think about it. So I really knew that these guys can really throw down. I knew that these guys would have a really phenomenal match. No pun intended. But it did get kind of sloppy towards the end from the fact that, he tried to do... I guess he tried to do a Hurricane Rana from the top rope, but then Jericho caught him, and then I don't know, he tried to go into the walls of Jericho, but landed on AJ Styles' neck. So I'm hoping that AJ Styles is okay from that. That looked like a really bad botch, but he recovered from it, and they kind of continued with the match, which was great, but it just looked really painful when he landed on the ground on his head. That was just kind of painful. But the one thing that really impressed me the most about this match was the fact that AJ Styles had Chris Jericho tap out. I don't think I can remember someone from another company that Chris Jericho wrestled with and he allowed them to make him tap out. I don't think I've ever seen that. I'm not saying it never happened, but I was impressed. And you can tell how pissed off Jericho was that he tapped out to AJ Styles. And also the fact that he was just like, stupid, you're a stupid son of a bee. Well, he didn't say son of a bee, he said son of a bitch. But, trying to be a little bit PG here. But the fact that he said that kind of reminded me of what Randy Orton said to Kofi Kingston before he squashed Kofi Kingston throughout his entire career. So I'm wondering if he was supposed to lay down for Chris Jericho. That makes me wonder, was there something going on in there that was supposed to happen but didn't? I don't know. But other than that, great match. Highly impressed with AJ Styles making Chris Jericho tap out. I was really impressed with that. Really, really was. Great match by far. That was my second match I cared about. But my moment of the night, of course, would be the Divas match. That will be my moment of the night. But let's go on to the segment that's supposed to reek of awesomeness, but in the end just reeked. And I think you know what I'm talking about. The Cutting Edge Peep Show with the New Day. Now, the New Day, if you honestly think about it, the one thing that came close to making it reek of awesomeness was the banter that you had between Edge and Christian and the New Day at first, before the League of Nations came out. Because everything that Edge said was kind of sort of true, and it was hilarious too. The fact that I have never seen so much chocolate act so vanilla. I was crying laughing. It was so funny. It was hilarious. I love that because it was just fun. So if we had a threesome and with Beyonce, you guys would be our love child. Hilarious. But if you honestly think about it, yeah, you can kind of say they somewhat are. Because let's be real here. When it comes to Xavier Woods is the entertainment of the New Day. Without that, him and that trombone Penelope, nobody would really care. Seriously, they wouldn't. And they look like fools with the unicorn heads every single night. But that's just me personally. I'm not a big fan of their gimmick, but like my friend Irvin said, they kind of made crap in the chocolate, and that's just me. I've never enjoyed their gimmick, but they are entertaining. I will say that. But the one thing that made it crap was the fact that here the New Day was pretty much mocking back and forth. It was kind of funny how they talked about how Kofi lost his accent. I thought that was funny too. But they would pretty much talk about other tag teams, and then also they bring up the League of Nations and calling them the League of Booty, which is disgusting. But Big E. but other than that, It got real bad when the League of Nations came out, and it just had this awkward pause because somehow Edge forgot he can't wrestle anymore, and Christian had to remind him, and it was this awkward 5-minute pause. And the New Day left the ring beforehand, which made it even more weird. And I don't know. I don't know. It just fell apart from there. It really did. It could have reeked of awesomeness, but it just reeked badly. And that was one of the worst moments of the night for me. And it's a shame because I like Edge and Christian. I enjoyed them. I really do. They are funny. They are hilarious. They were a great tag team. They should have had their moment before New Day came out, but New Day had to be heels. But somehow I think New Day always forgets that they are heels when they're laughing with Edge and Christian. I don't know. But other than that, that was the worst segment of the night. But let's move on to the main event. I'm probably forgetting a match or two. If I am, by all means, leave it in the comments. But let's talk about the main event. Dean Ambrose versus Roman Reigns versus the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. Now, in my opinion, I would have been fine if Dean won. I would have been fine if Brock won. I was not fine when Roman Reigns won, and here's why. Roman Reigns has faced zero adversity since the Royal Rumble. Before the Royal Rumble. Actually, no. When he won the belt the first time, they did it right leading on up to that point. And then he ended up getting the belt. Then it ended up being taken from him. And then after that, he's supposed to be facing adversity, but then wasn't. And then at the Royal Rumble, they took him out for 25 minutes and then came back to face whoever at the very end and ended up getting eliminated anyway. And other than that, he didn't face as much adversity as he should have because they booked it completely wrong. And instead of them resetting and trying to make adjustments to where he could be better for next year, they decided to have him win this thing. And here's the bigger kicker here. This guy at WrestleMania 31 had zero offense, maybe out of desperation towards the very end before Seth Rollins came out. So why on earth would you ever get behind a guy that you knew at the very end could not beat Brock? Of course, put his friend in there because his friend is a face. So he's going to help him throughout the entire match, then beat the crap out of him, and then all of a sudden his friend gets the upper hand by pinning his other unconscious friend 1, 2, 3. I know that made zero sense, but hear me out. You have Dean Ambrose pretty much getting the upper hand throughout the entire match. Everybody wanted Dean to win. Everybody was rooting for Dean or Brock. That's who people were torn about. They cared about Brock or they cared about Dean. Especially this is being Dean's hometown. Dean is from Cleveland. He's from Ohio. So why didn't you have him win? Why did it have to be Roman? Seriously, anything but Roman. And I hate to hashtag that, but if I could hashtag that, I would. Anything but Roman. Seriously. And the reason why is because the guy is green. He is extraordinarily vanilla. And very, very, very green. He is not up to task for this. And I don't care about his comeuppance. He doesn't need to have it yet. Because they messed that up after the Rumble. So people aren't going to get behind him. I would have been fine if it was Dean. Because Dean's faced more adversity that was continuous than Roman has. Brock would have made more sense because Brock's a freaking beast. But here's my question. Why do you constantly keep bringing Brock back for him to lose? Seriously, why? But other than that, I hated the ending to this. I really wanted to be Dean, and they keep teasing us that Dean Ambrose is going to win. He's always coming close to reaching that brass ring, and he's always getting it pulled away from him. He's faced more adversity than Roman Reigns ever has. So it should have been him. Wrong dude won here. That's just my opinion. But guys, my overall thoughts is this. The matches themselves were not bad. Some of them you have seen before and not have enough build to where you actually do care about them. But there were 3 matches that really impressed me. Of course, it was a Divas match because of the great psychology that was in the match, as well as the great chemistry, as well as the great moments that Brie had, and also the great setup leading to this match was really good. The fact that you had Brie being emotional after her husband was gone and after Nikki was injured, and then leading on up to Charlotte being, the heel champion well, not really tormenting her, but pretty much, like picking on Brie. It was a great setup for that. So it made you want to care about Brie more. And then you have the match with AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho. Great setup leading to that. Maybe a botch towards the very end, but it's very aggressive all the way through. It was a great match to watch, as well as some mad respect towards the very end. But when it comes to the main event was very aggressive and very speedy and very quick all the way through until the ending. The ending was what really did piss me off, because I feel that they chose the wrong guy. But other than that, the match itself was very dominant, especially when Brock pretty much manhandling those two at the very beginning, and they were gasping for air for how many suplexes that they actually had. And I think that Dean Ambrose had 5 suplexes on him, and Roman Reigns had 4, and they were actually keeping count. So it was a pretty good match, but it just had a really crappy ending. That's just my opinion. But the pay-per-view was so-so. It wasn't horrible. It was just so-so. There wasn't really a lot of matches on the card you would care about. But the main 3 that I just spoke of, yeah, those are matches that are worth watching. But if you're a Roman Reigns fan, you'll be happy. If you're not, you'll be pissed. But other than that, guys, I want to hear your thoughts about this. Leave a comment in the comment section below. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about FastLane, as well as your predictions towards WrestleMania. It's Naturegirl 30 signing off. Peace out, y'all. Later.